Good evening. That was a Native American flute song by Randy Granger called Crane Dance. I
That's
just found
beautiful.
it like 10 minutes before coming on tonight, and I thought this is actually really fun. It actually does capture that joy of cranes dancing that I saw a little bit of um, yeah, last weekend. So welcome everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Nature Healing on Cranes. I'm so glad that our group inspired this theme last week. Thank you, Robin and Swan, and actually Deanna. And I had some synchronicities myself. And did anyone else mention cranes last week? Because seriously, it was
Did,
it felt
did I
like
tell you I actually did see two? Because the ranger had told us to drive up to Wilson Lake, which was only a few miles from our campground. And I just pulled in and they were way at a distance, but it had to be them. There's nothing else like them flying around the lake. And I sat there and they didn't come back, but at least I did actually get to see the two. So that was cool.
that is so beautiful. Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, they're on the move and you caught it, right? You were like in their migration path. So you let us know. It's like you were calling up from your mountain, hey, they're coming. And we're like, okay, we're going to come and get them here. And then I went quick and caught them arriving to their overwintering spot near Sacramento. And anyway, this is how it's done, right? This is how we welcome our friends back home after their summer travels up north, right? Anyway, something really old and ancient felt about, I don't know, how we've been interacting with the cranes. So I've appreciated it. Yeah. Well, we could give people another moment, um, but they can trickle in too. Elizabeth, Karen, and Gary, did you all have any crane synchronicities?
No, we
No.
didn't.
Okay, okay. All good.
We,
Now you will this week.
Yeah.
we thought about them.
There's another place where the sandhill cranes go. I don't know if it's New Mexico or I'm not sure.
It's in the presentation. I think it's Idaho.
There's one down south somewhere.
There might be others. The big one I think is, well, we'll see. It's in my presentation. I think it's Idaho. I can't remember.
Those are sandhill cranes we were talking about.
Yeah, Sandhill.
Yeah,
So is it whooping cranes?
No, sandhill.
sandhill.
Sandhill. Yeah, also. Yeah, yeah. I'm not a crane expert. I'm learning, but yeah, they have a lot of spots. Hopefully they'll
We,
start having more and more in the future.
we were going to go see them a couple times, but got diverted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about you, Elizabeth? Any crane synchronicities leading up to this class?
Well, I just keep thinking about how you mentioned that they're psychopomps last week, so it's just kind of been, yeah, carrying through, and that I get them confused with herons.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Not after tonight's presentation, you won't. Yeah, me too. Yeah, same. And I know your synchronicity, Swan, that you had bought the material with the cranes.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
And now I'm inspired too because we have a crane festival, which we've never been to, that's only about an hour and a half from us. So next spring, there's a big lake out in the basin and they flock there. So we are
Wow.
going to the crane festival next spring.
Yes, you are. Yes, and you're going to take pictures. Perfect. It's going to be great. We'll revisit the topic. Perfect. All right. Well, I will start my presentation because why not? Okay. There we go. You guys can see that? Okay. Yay. So here's a beautiful sandhill crane. And I've titled this presentation Living Libraries of Earth's Wisdom. And hopefully by the end, you'll feel that too. We'll start with our 8 verses. Oh, I have this weird thing in the way. So I'm just going to move my screen over so I can read them. Okay, all right. All right, I'll invite you to get ready to receive this beautiful information on cranes by getting into your favorite Qigong posture, feet touching our beloved earth, spine straight, tailbone tucked, shoulders relaxed, chin tucked, head reaching up to the sky, just aligning ourselves with the natural flow of energy in our universe and breathing. Head expands into the sky, feet into the earth. Body is relaxed. Mind expands out. Be respectful, quiet inside. The mind is clear. The appearance is humble. The mind is still. The mind expands out to the vast void. Illuminate deep inside. The whole body is harmonized with qi, harmonized with qi. Mm. 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 So cranes live worldwide. There are 15 species, and they're found on every continent still, except Antarctica and South America. They range from about 3 feet tall to over 6 feet tall, actually. And they're highly social, very intelligent, and they live for a long time. And something that's unique to cranes is they have this long, called trachea coil, so in their necks. And it creates this very distinctive bugling call that can be heard for miles and miles. And this is a picture of a black-crowned crane. These are black-crowned cranes. And so this trachea coil situation in their necks, their ability to project sound, that's why when Robin was hiking over Mount Lassen, she could hear them calling, but she couldn't see them. So they were miles away, right? But she could still hear this eerie call because they're constantly talking to each other, constantly in conversation, very social, right? And this special instrument they have in their throats allows them to communicate. So yes, cranes are really built for connection, and scientists speculate that this is why they are such a long-lived species. They've figured something out about how connection and community is something that helps them be resilient. So they mate for life, and they can live for 20 to 40 years, even longer in captivity. They have elaborate, beautiful courtship and bonding dances that they're very well known for. And they're constantly talking. They do this thing called unison calling, and these paired cranes, you know, the mates, they're just constantly gabbing, talking to each other in these kind of synchronized duets. And this is one of the ways that they bond, making this music together. They're omnivorous, so they eat seeds and insects and small mammals and roots. And they usually have one young per year. They could have more, but usually not. Usually only one survives, and the baby stays with the parents for almost a year. So this is a Saris crane in India, and this is actually the largest crane in the world, this beauty. And yeah, he stands up to or over 5 feet 11 inches tall and can weigh 11 to 26 pounds and have a wingspan of up to 8.5 feet. So they're very big birds, taller than me. That would be amazing to see one up close. The crane dance. So maybe I didn't mention yet. After Robin was talking about the cranes last week, I realized I was going to be close to one of their overwinter spots near Sacramento, California. And so Ben and I drove out early in the morning and caught them while they were breakfasting in a field, the sandhill cranes, the sandhill cranes. And we weren't super close to them. They were in these large agricultural fields, again, having breakfast in very big groups, though, dozens and dozens of these sandhill cranes. And we had our binoculars, and so we were looking at them on the side of the road, just gaping with a few other birders that were out. And what caught my attention was these dances. So, they were just eating, having breakfast, but then every once in a while, one of the cranes would pop up, just like you see in this picture here. And these are blue cranes, by the way. They're the national bird of South Africa. And anyhow, one bird would just pop up and throw a twig in the air, and then another bird would do it, and then another bird would do it. And they were just like having breakfast, dancing, being silly. It was like very joyous energy. So apparently, this is something that cranes do. They all dance, and they dance year round. It's not just for mating. Yes, they have elaborate courtship dances, but they're just constantly like in celebration. So they dance for all sorts of reasons. Scientists think courtship, social cohesion, relieving stress and tension was one of them that came up, and really just play, like they're having fun, right? And the dance movements include bowing, jumping, wing spreading, running, tossing grass and sticks into the air, which is what I saw them doing. And yes, it is contagious behavior. So one crane will start and then all of them will start. And it's just like this fun, flash mob dance kind of that they do just spontaneously as a group. And yeah, I imagine it does really bond the group, bond the flock, right? They're very social, um, and they're just having fun together. It was really fun to watch. I didn't get the best pictures, so I'm not showing my photos here, but you can imagine. Here's a beautiful dance pose of some red-crowned cranes. And these pictures are iconic. These pictures of these cranes dancing in the snow. These birds live in Asia. And it's so beautiful, so graceful. And it looks choreographed when they dance. It really does look like, ballet or something. So, like others, I wasn't really sure of how people distinguished crane, egret, heron, and stork. I mean, all these are water birds, all guardians of our sacred waters for sure. But there are some distinctions I thought I'd share. So, this is a demoiselle crane flying gracefully, and you'll see how her neck is extended straight. So egrets and herons, they fly with their necks curved. So it wouldn't look like this. Their necks would be curved. The storks, they do fly in this way also, but storks are not really social, not like cranes, and they don't dance, and they're pretty silent. And then the egrets and herons, in addition to the kind of the curved necks and this S shape in their backs, they're kind of solitary. So you see them alone. Cranes, I mean, maybe you see them alone, but they really are very social. They're hanging out with their mate. When we saw them over the weekend, they all had you could tell there was like two pairs, and then there was a kind of their not quite but almost grown baby. So there was lots of sets of three because they were hanging out with their almost grown baby. And very social, constantly talking, dancing, and these loud calls that they make, which we'll listen to a little later. They're gabbing, they're constantly talking. So if it's dancing and calling and in pairs, it's a crane. That's my advice. So I was very blown away to learn while I was preparing this presentation that these sandhill cranes that migrate through California and other places in the United States, but the birds I saw over the weekend are the oldest living bird species on Earth. I mean, that's incredible. So they're at least this particular species is at least 2.5 million years old. That's insane. They actually think it might be up to 10 million years old. They found fossils in the Americas, and there's some dispute. Some people think they are sandhill cranes. Some people think it's maybe a relative. In any case, cranes in general, they are very, very ancient. It's a very ancient species. So again, it tells us something. Like what are they doing that has made them so successful? Imagine what they've seen, all the changes, 2.5 million years. And scientists say that they've more or less been following the same migration routes for maybe all this time. I mean, at least millennia, long time. So again, imagine this genetic history. Imagine what they've seen, right? And their patient, resilient kind of success as a species. It's incredible. So these sandhill cranes, and this is a picture of them here, are about 3 to 4 feet tall with a wingspan of 7 feet. And they got that beautiful red crown. And so about 500,000 cranes stage, it's at Nebraska. It's in Nebraska every spring. Not whatever I said in the introduction. So most of them, 80% of them are overwintering in Nebraska, but some are in California's Central Valley, which is where I was over the weekend. Maybe 20 to 30,000 go there each year. And I learned that sandhill cranes, and this is true of probably all the species of cranes, but I'll just talk about sandhill cranes because they're the ones that are from my neighborhood. They used to overwinter in a lot of other places, including where I live. So at least the land I live on now has a memory of these cranes. So up until about 100 years ago, maybe even a little less than 100 years ago, sandhill cranes would migrate down into the Bay Area in Sonoma County where I live. So now they're just kind of in the Central Valley because that's where their habitat is still preserved. But yeah, they're very much still energetically an aspect of a lot of ecosystems, including mine. So getting more into the metaphoric zone. So my synchronicity around cranes actually is around this character, He Xiangu. He Xiangu. And she is one of the 8 immortals. She's the only woman. And she is associated with the crane. And so here's a picture, an artistic rendition of her flying backwards on her crane. And she's a wonderful character. I'm very taken by her, and I've been sort of working with her for a bit, maybe 6 months or so, in part because of, anyhow, synchronicities in my life. Also in part because Teacher Wei mentioned at the retreat that our lineage, so Zheneng Qigong, was originally called White Crane. So that's what Dr. Pong originally called what he was teaching. So He Xiangu is often depicted riding on this white crane, who, as I mentioned last time, cranes are thought of as psychopomps, so they can go between the worlds. And so this crane is her sacred vehicle, representing her transcendence and her role as a messenger between realms. And I'll just talk a little bit about He Xiangu, so you can get a taste for the mythology around her. She is, believed to be a real person. So she was born during the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 CE, in Guangdong. And at birth, she had 6 long hairs on the crown of her head, which was a distinctive feature that marked her as unique. When she became enlightened, or the path to her enlightenment started to happen when she was about 14 or 15 years old. So she had a divine dream, and this divine personage appeared to her and instructed her to eat a particular type of powdered mica so that her body might become immune from death and enlightened. So after a long and arduous trek to the mountain stream where this particular mica could be found, she consumed the powdered stone, and as promised, she was suddenly able to traverse huge distances in a single stride while simultaneously requiring less and less physical sustenance. So even though she received all of these amazing powers of moving between realms and worlds and requiring little sustenance, she actually still remained a devoted daughter and used her powers as a means of providing for her parents. So she was known to flit from mountaintop to mountaintop, gathering the finest fruits and herbs and minerals for them. There's a whole story about how she escaped marriage. On the night of the wedding, she suddenly disappeared, and they found a poem behind that said something like, Magu blames me for longing for earthly distractions. Separating from the immortals is a long journey. I'm heading to Kangzhou to play under the moonlight, riding backward on the yellow crane, listening to the phoenix flute. And the next morning, they found only a shoe by the well. So she escaped her marriage. She in her life encountered another one of the 8 immortals, Lu Dongbin, and he gave her a peach and said, if you eat this, one day you will ascend to heaven. If not, you will remain in the mortal realm. So what did she do? She ate only half the peach. So, and when she returned, and I think this is beautiful, it reminds me of Guanyin, right? Like she's got part of herself in the heavens and part of herself is down here on earth, supporting us. So when she returned home, she felt it had only been a day, but it had actually been a month. And from then on, she never felt hunger or exhaustion and could also foresee human events. And let's see. I'll just say in conclusion that she's depicted holding a lotus flower often, representing purity and spiritual enlightenment. And she sometimes has a musical instrument. Again, she's often riding a white crane. And she's also known as a powerful herbalist and healer. So she's somebody to work with if you're working with plants. Okay. That is He Shen Gu. So in the indigenous Americas, the cranes are known as the guardians of the sacred waters. Of course they are, right? They've been here forever. They've been tending to our waters during their migration, right? Going back and forth, back and forth. And, you know, from information I've read, the best way I have to describe the vibe coming from the indigenous Americas is that they are living libraries of Earth's wisdom. So they're carrying our history with them. They're so ancient, and they've always been seen as these very, very ancient and wise elders. Again, they're messengers and guides, psychopomps, so moving between the worlds. And they are the bringers of spring and good fortune. There are teachers of focus and patience, and they're connected to creation stories. And this is a whooping crane. So this is the other beautiful crane that we have in the Americas. And the whooping cranes are much bigger than the sandhill cranes, actually. Of course, throughout Asia, the cranes are beloved symbols and beloved animals, symbols of longevity, wisdom, and peace. In Japan, they have the tradition of the 1,000 origami cranes for wishes and healing. And there are many, many community ceremonies welcoming the crane's migratory return each year. This is a common theme, especially in Asia, but apparently in the United States too, as Robin shared. I found this interesting. So in Korea, the DMZ zone between North and South Korea became sort of wild, right? Because of the politics. And so during the war, I'm sure the situation for the cranes wasn't great, but after the ceasefire in 1953, the DMZ zone became this like unintended nature preserve, and there's tons of cranes. So both red-crowned cranes and the white-naped cranes now migrate to the DMZ zone. And here's a photo of a bunch of cranes in that DMZ zone. In 2024, the numbers were about 2,600 red-crowned cranes and 10,000 white-naped cranes. So about 57% and 71% respectively of these global populations depends on this DMZ zone for critical habitat and to help to grow its species. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. And of course, the result of this has been increased communication between North and South Korea because everyone cares about the cranes. The cranes give them a reason to talk and to coordinate and collaborate. So I thought that was beautiful. So I wanted to end by playing a couple videos because I want you to get a feel for the sound and the dance of these cranes. So here, let's see if I can do this to show you this YouTube video. Okay, so here, let's see. Here is a video of flocks of sandhill cranes migrating. And here, wait, let me just make it so I can see you guys. Okay, and then maybe someone give me a thumbs up if you can. Oh, it's so, where's the play button? Okay, let's see. Can you hear and see it? Okay. Well, listen to that. So that's the sandhill cranes in flight. Here, maybe I'll just play it again. Because if you see them, this is how it's going to be. Memorize that call, that bugle call. Awesome. So yeah, before I went crane searching, I played a few of these videos because Robin had said she heard them but didn't see them. So I thought, well, if I don't see them, at least I want to hear them. And that's
You're
how I
struggling with high
initially.
cholesterol levels?
Oh,
Listen up. Since menopause hit, I have been
that's exciting. There we go. So yeah, before I actually saw the cranes, I heard them. And I was like, that's them. So we followed them and then found where they were in the field. So tip for finding sandhill cranes if you're out looking for them. And then I just wanted to play this brief part of this video to show you what the dancing kind of looks like and how it just like this infectious joy. So, all right.
So these cranes are considered
I'm actually
a
going to
national
turn the
symbol.
volume off because I don't like the narrative, but can you see it? Okay. I like the dancing. All right, there's the dancing. It's hard to find a video that does it justice, but that was the most reminiscent of a little bit of what I saw. So there it is. Cranes. How lot of cranes. Just open up the floor. Howla, yeah. And welcome back, cranes. Welcome back. Oh, I should have said that the sandhill cranes here, they summer in, can you guys hear me? Okay, good. I messed up. I had my volume down. They summer in up north, so like Alaska and the colder places, and then they come back down here and gather in the winter where it's a little bit warmer. So yeah, so I'll open the floor up to any questions, comments.
Yeah. I'll comment a little bit. I don't know if anyone has anyone never been out to the Sandhills in Nebraska? Anyone visited there? Okay, well, as a Midwesterner, I'll represent. First of all, Nebraska is a highly underrated state. Most people, if you drive across it on I-80, think it's just a bunch of cornfields. But actually, there's a lot of really awesome hidden beauty there. They got the Niobrara River. You know, they've got a whole bunch of stuff out. What's the name of that fort out west? It looks like the Old West in the western part of the state. But then, kind of in between those areas, you've got the Sandhills, which is all north of I-80. But anyways, beautiful area. It's one of the most peaceful places I have ever been. Like we actually were just reminiscing about this because we stayed there on our way up to the Black Hills recently, and it was literally it's the best night of sleep I've had in years. I think it's still the best night of sleep I've had in many years because it's so quiet there, so peaceful.
Except for the wind.
Except for the wind. There's a lot of wind, but it's almost got its own way of being soothing. But the sand hills are really, really gorgeous. They're really different than it, like geologically, it's just really interesting because outside of that it's like flat, you know, like you're on this like flat plains grassland and stuff, and then you get into these sand hills. It's just like where did this come from? This is so weird, you know. And those cranes of course are famous in that area as well. And then you know, you keep going beyond that, and then you get further into the west, or you go north into the Black Hills, and so it's a really geologically very interesting and diverse area to be in. But anyway, just thought I'd comment on that in case no one had ever been to the sand hills before. That's the that's the background.
Thank you, Alex. I really appreciate that because I've not been there, and awesome. So that'll be part of our Midwest tour that you'll take us on when we come out. You'll show us Missouri, and then you can show us Nebraska. I don't know if they're close to each other. Anyway, it's going to be really fun. Can't wait. Nature healing, in-person retreat, you know. That sounds awesome. I hope I get to visit that someday. Thank you.
I wanted to share a part about the cranes traveling back and forth between the worlds.
Yeah.
3 years ago last month, our son's wife died. And he wasn't home. She was Native American. She loved watching birds. And the kids would complain about how long it took to get anywhere because if you saw birds, Auntie Judy and Uncle Mike had to pull over and watch the birds. So he had gone out of the country to work on a job and came back home and she was dead, literally on the kitchen floor. So we had gone over and helped with that. And about a week later, no, sooner than that, the Native American tradition is either 4 days or 7 days, depending on the tribe, you do a fire that you keep burning the whole time so that the person's spirit can see where they've been as they're traveling on. So we had gone up to the, I don't remember his name, I'll remember it. Up to anywhere the tribal center, and had been the fire was going for 4 days, and Bobby and I were just there at the last couple of days of that leading up to the memorial. And she was sick, so I had gone down to the fire. And as the morning approached, you stop putting any wood on the fire, but you stay with it until the fire ashes are completely cold. So this was during that time, and all of a sudden, one of Judy's nephews came running through with one of his little kids and said, "Did you guys see that?" And we said, "What?" And he said, "The cranes." And he kept on running, and they followed through the woods and watched about 3 or 4 cranes that were flying over. We could hear them. Like you said, we could hear them still. And Michael went and saw the cranes, and he said Judy loved the cranes. So later that day, in upstate or in Washington State, which is just about straight west of here, which is the direction the cranes were flying, our friend Anita heard cranes inside, had never heard them before, went outside, saw the cranes fly over, and thought of Judy. The next morning, after the memorial back at home, Michael went out in the front yard, and there were 3 cranes in the front yard. He said they had never had cranes land on their property. And he went in the house to tell Judy about it and realized that Judy was dead, realized again. But he told her anyway. So that story of how real the cranes is and how connected they are to the passing over, just sort of vibrated through all of us, because it felt like the cranes knew more about Judy's path once she left here than we did. So that's my crane story that I wanted to share.
Thank you, Angie. Wow, what a powerful story. To be connected to the mystery through these animals. Can only guess what they're really doing out there, right? We see them flying back and forth, but what are they really doing? Yeah.
Well, that was our other light and fun story about the cranes. When years ago we had heard that when they were migrating, the cranes stopped at the fields outside of Battle Creek, where the Kellogg company is, and had great big fields. So we went looking for them one morning in the fall, and first we heard a sound, and then Bobby started making the noise of the cranes, which, because she grew up on a farm and she makes the noise of all sorts of birds. And all of a sudden, the sky was full of cranes and they were all landing to eat in this field, almost like they said, "Oh, thanks for telling us about breakfast here." It just stunning. And they seemed to think she was a crane. They just kept talking right back and forth to her. So that was my first introduction to cranes.
That's incredible. It's totally incredible. Thank you. Ah, they're so social. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're so
thank you for that,
connected.
Megan, and thank you, Angela. What an incredible story. Wow.
I just want to say thank you, Angie, for your sharing. I remember when that passing happened, and now to have this crane context is really powerful. So thank you. Yeah, thank you, Angie. And thank you, Megan. The information around cranes is mind blowing. I didn't know all of that, so it's really, it's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. And dreams came in. Yeah, thank you. That's very beautiful.
Ella, thank you. Yeah, I didn't even dig very hard. I didn't even go very far. So like, I think if I had gone further, we could have been here for hours, but yeah. Yeah, I'd never seen a crane until last weekend, so it was special.
Yeah, sorry. I had been to the sandhills also, and then everyone was saying Sandhill Crane, and I was like, oh, these are the same sandhills.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Go ahead, Swan.
Yeah, thank you, Angie, for your beautiful story. I have two little stories the first one is back in the 90s, I went to the coast to Rockport to do a dynamic anatomy workshop, which was it was somatic work in dance improvisation. And it was all new to me. I had just opened into this world at the age of 40, as a result of discovering that it was something that had been suppressed with me for a long time. And in the first summer, I went there 2 summers in a row, I think. It was when we were doing work with the skeleton and the neck and the head, and I was in an improvisation where I was just gliding across the room. Somebody had my head in their hands, and everybody was like, oh my God, it's like you're just flying across the room. And then later, a crane heron dance came out of me spontaneously. I don't remember which bird it was, but people were just, that's what they were seeing. I was feeling that to a certain extent. So from then on, herons and cranes became really central to me in terms of energy. And so hearing this presentation tonight, I didn't know very much of what you presented in terms of how how long they've been here and their energy and purpose here on the earth. But much later, in 2007, my dear friend and roommate from college was clearly in her last days of here on Earth, dying of cancer, and one of her nieces organized a project, and this was I was reminded when you mentioned the 1,000 origami, and what was created was 1,000 cranes origami, and it was on display at her memorial, and then we were able to take a crane from that display. It was very symbolic of her life and the transformation at the end of her life. She was an incredible flutist, and but had always struggled with letting her spirit and soul come out. And in the last few years, I was privileged to be a part of some concerts that supported the cancer center where she had been doing treatments and therapies and alternative types of things. And she broke through that barrier, and her full soul expressed in one of those concerts. And I do believe the crane was with her, and maybe that was one of her wishes that her niece heard and manifested for her at the end. So it feels very, very real and tender still. And this really opened up the tenderness of it and the depth of this beautiful bird that has actually been a part of my life for quite a long time now. And I've seen, and when I lived in Stanford on the Sound, I did see cranes when I went to Cove Island often. Up here where I am in New Hartford, it's very landlocked. I haven't seen cranes here, but I do see herons at my local pond where I paddleboard, and the great blue heron visits there. So, but the cranes, I haven't seen them yet. So anyhow, thank you for this. It was really very beautiful.
Thank you, Swan. What's the name of your friend so that she's here, so might as well bring her in.
Wendy Lehman is
Wendy.
that's her name. Wendy, yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful soul.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy. Yeah, our Taoist immortal with the crane. So the musical instrument she's associated with is sort of like a Chinese flute organ thing. So, which makes sense. It's beautiful.
The piece that she had her breakthrough with was Be Still My Soul, it was a flute piece created based on that hymn. And, so that's seems very appropriate with the cranes also.
Yeah. Yeah, that peace and patience, longevity. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll just share that cranes came into my life through also a kind of interpretive movement exercise, a somatic intuitive exercise too. So, yep, there it is. Hala. Yeah. They're speaking to us. They have wisdom and comfort. Yeah. Well, we can go into our healing practice with this powerful energy, powerful ally, powerful field. If there are any intentions that want to be spoken out loud, I'd invite them out.
I have a second broken hip in a week. My
Okay.
chi buddy, Nancy in Port Townsend, her husband Joe fell and broke his hip. It's the second one he's done in 2 years. And also for Greg, who's now in rehab, who broke his hip a week ago and had successful surgery. So for both of them.
Okay, for all the hips and the bones, they mend. Thank you, Robin.
For our grandson Alex, who takes a chemical engineering nationwide test on Thursday to hopefully put him in better position to get a job.
Sending him wisdom.
And the ability to get up wide awake in the morning.
Oh, cranes are good at that.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, yeah. We got there, maybe 7:30 or 8, but they had already done their wake up flight. So perfect. He's going to be up and ready. Hello. I'll throw Ani in for bone healing also, for body healing, bone healing, and wisdom. Hey, I feel the healing energy flowing to all of these intentions, all the ones unspoken, for our deep, deep, deep wishes for healing, transformation, our wildest wishes, that they find a way to come true for our loved ones and for ourselves. Those impossible wishes that matches this impossibility of our crane species being around for millions of years. Why not? So I'll invite you to find a restful, healing position, whether that's seated or laying down. And we'll continue to activate this deep, vast, primordial consciousness field that we've been cultivating today in this class. Allowing our bodies to receive deep wisdom of deep time. Feeling gratitude for our sisters, the cranes. And then letting that go and allowing ourselves to deepen into the mystery, focusing on the center of our heads, allowing our observer to open. Expanding throughout our head, expanding throughout our throats, opening throughout our hearts, opening down our spines. Opening into our organ systems throughout Huanyan Palace. Opening down our backs into our tailbone, throughout our sacral center. Opening down our legs, opening throughout our bodies. Feeling our radiant hearts expanding, expanding. Expanding throughout our classroom, expanding throughout our world, expanding throughout our solar system, expanding throughout our universe, connecting. Allowing yourself to experience this expanding, uncontrollable, unconditional love, this radiance. This radiant fire. Allowing this love to merge throughout all the lands, all time space. Merging with all the sages, all the teachers, human and more than human, merging with this contagious ecstasy of love. We are on fire with love. We are Mingjue love. We are Mingjue peace. We are Mingjue happiness. We are Mingjue gratitude. Allowing these beautiful, harmonious qualities to be contagious. Allowing them to spread. Noticing how they spread as we sit here together in silence in this circle. Allowing our bodies to transform in this radiant, loving fire. If you feel that you need more time in this illuminating field, feel free to do so. You can step off the Zoom call and just sit in this field and allow it to alchemically transform what needs to be transformed. Allowing yourself to feel that burning love. And if you feel complete, Hala, I'll invite you to start making movements to come back into our circle, maybe rocking back and forth, feeling into this new body of yours, just noticing what's shifted and changed. Welcoming the newness. Maybe moving the toes and the fingers. Maybe moving the neck. Maybe moving the hips. Allowing this healing energy to continue pulsing through your body. Even as you open your eyes and even as you come back to our circle and even as you move on into whatever else you're doing this evening, the field will continue to work on you. Hala, hala. Thank you to the mystery of the cranes for bringing this.
Thank you, Megan.
Yeah, you're welcome, Robin. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Powerful practice tonight.
Powerful field.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I could feel that fire, Angie. That fire, that devotional fire was really, really present. Yeah. So
I wanted to share what happened for me.
please.
My sister Terry, who died not too long before Judy, my sister-in-law. And Terry and I had a lot of barriers still. And she was there in the field with the crane. And it was like this awareness that the barrier was part of an old reference system. Was part of an old reference system of victimizations, of not enough that our whole family grew up with. And we both had that, and we clashed with it. And then you said that also about the radiant fire. And I could feel even more that reference system dissolving for me and for her. So thank you all for sharing this. And
It doesn't even make sense anymore, does it, Angie? It makes no, I can feel it, how that just, it's like, it's just, it's, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, what a long time to hold on to something that
Oof. Yeah.
that wasn't even worth having be there in the first place.
Doesn't make any sense. Ah, it's amazing. It was transformed into the ridiculous. How,
Yeah. And the cranes came with us.
yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah. Must be an aspect of their medicine. I cannot say I understand it, but yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
Thank you.
How
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next week for mystery topic.
Oh, we're gonna do that one, huh?
We always do, yeah.
I thought this was mystery topic.
This one wrote itself, you know, so I mean it makes sense. You know, really feeling coming into that dark part of the year, coming into Samhain, and when the veils are thin, like of course, like we're just like taking the next step, you know, into this altered state where we can commune with the ancestors and
Yeah.
heal the impossible and all those things. So yeah, makes sense now, of course. So anyway. All right. Thank you all. See you soon.
Yeah.
Much love.
Love you all.
Oh, bye. Thanks, guys.